I know what you're looking for: a home theater system that actually fits into the everyday hustle of your living room, doesn't throw a fit when you push the volume, and proves it's worth the cash the moment you fire up the first movie night. You've probably read a dozen tech blogs that drown you in horn lengths, TD values, and driver materials, and you're wondering if any of that really matters when you just want clear dialogue, booming low end that doesn't shake the picture frame, and a setup that doesn't require a PhD in acoustics. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down what makes the Klipsch Reference Premier RP6000 Fi 5.1.2 system actually livable in a typical home, where it shines, and where it might leave you reaching for the remote. First off, the biggest headline here is the new 9090mm hybrid Tractrix horn paired with the LTS titanium diaphragm tweeter. On paper that promises bigger horn, better sound, and for good reason. The horn guides high frequencies straight to your ears with less dispersion, which means when you're watching an action film, the on-screen explosions stay crisp without turning the whole room into a sound cloud. But the real test is how this translates to a weekend binge on the couch. In my own setup, I placed the front left and right towers on either side of a 75-inch LED TV, with the center channel tucked just below. The horn's directionality meant I could sit a full 3 feet off the ideal sweet spot and still hear clear dialogue, a huge win for families where the seating often spreads out. If you've ever tried a speaker that sounds great only when you're glued to a specific chair, you'll appreciate this flexibility. The next practical piece is the all-new Cerametallic woofers. Those 6.5-inch drivers are built to handle the punchy mids and low end you expect from a 5.1.2 system, but they also stay cool during long listening sessions. That matters when you're streaming a 2-hour sci-fi marathon and the subwoofer is firing off low-frequency effects every few minutes. The included RP1200 SW 12-inch sub adds depth that you can feel without the room turning into a rattling box. In a medium-sized living room, around 250 square feet, the sub managed to fill the space without overpowering the cabinets, so you get that movie theater feel without the walls shaking. Now, who should actually buy this kit? If you're a movie enthusiast who already owns a decent TV and wants to step up the audio experience without diving into a complicated multi-amp setup, this is a solid match. The dual input terminals give you the option to buy wire or buy amp later, so you can start simple with a single amp receiver and upgrade as your budget allows. Home theater newbies will find that the system ships with everything you need: left, right, center, surround, and the sub and the speaker placement instructions are straightforward enough that you won't need to spend a day chasing cables. The fact that the system is in an elegant ebony finish also means it blends nicely with darker core, which is a subtle but often overlooked point for anyone who cares about aesthetics. On the other hand, if you're an audiophile who lives for the minutiae of frequency response graphs, or if you're planning to fill a large open-plan space, you might want to look elsewhere. The horn design, while excellent for directing sound, can create a sweet spot that is a bit narrower than some dome-type drivers, so if you plan to seat 20 people around a big dining table, you could experience uneven coverage. Also, the system is designed around a 5.1.2 layout. It isn't a full 7.1 setup, so if you already have rear surround speakers, you'll need to consider whether the added height channels, Dolby Atmos, actually deliver the immersive experience you're after, or if you're just paying for extra hardware that will sit idle most evenings. Let's talk about the practical strengths that really matter after the box is opened. First, the ease of integration. The speakers use standard speaker wire terminals and the sub has both high-level and low-level inputs, which means you can hook it up to virtually any AVR without needing a special adapter. When I connected it to a mid-range Denon receiver, the system calibrated quickly using the receiver's built-in room correction, and the results were pretty balanced. The highs stayed bright without being shrill, and the bass stayed tight. Second, the dynamic range. Watching a recent superhero film, the explosions were loud enough to feel impactful, yet the dialogue remained intelligible even after the volume was cranked up. That dynamic range is a direct result of the hybrid horn and the efficient Cerametallic woofers, which deliver more output per watt than many older ceiling-mounted home theater kits. Now the weaknesses that can bite you after the hype fades. The biggest is that the system leans heavily on the receiver's ability to process the height channels. If you pair it with a basic IVR that doesn't support Dolby Atmos, the 2 in the 5.1.2 becomes essentially dead weight. In that case you're paying